Hi, welcome to Pride Pages podcast. I'm here with Amanda Rush. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for having me. It's awesome to be here.
Amanda is with Rush Acquisition. And Amanda, what is your coming out story? Or if you would like to share a story about coming out or during that time frame in your life.
Sure. So I honestly don't even really know if I ever officially came out, to be honest. I feel like it's usually like kind of a like here's my story of how I told my family kind of thing, and I feel
Yeah.
like it usually is the family, like that's who you come out to. But I will say I think the only person I truly came out to was my uncle. We were only like 4 years apart. So we were more like brother and sister and like super close, like kind of like brother, sister, best friends kind of situation. And I actually didn't know. I grew up in a very religious household and family, so I didn't know that being gay was a thing when I was younger. And then when I was in junior high, my uncle and I were hanging out. His name's Joey. Joey and I were hanging out, and he was like, "Oh, I have this crush on someone at church, of all places." And he was like, "I bet." He was like, so I just started guessing, and he was like, "You're not going to guess who it is." And then finally, he told me who it was, and it was a guy at church. And I was like, "Oh," like so, like it was kind of this like, "Oh, you can. That's a thing. You can do that." Like I wasn't having these like thoughts in my head exactly, but it was just kind of like a mind opening experience. And then like very soon after that, I came back to him and I was like, I think I like girls. Like it was like pretty like soon after that. So I came out I figured out myself very young, and I do have him to thank for that. Like I was literally in junior high. And so yeah, I came out to him as bi actually, the classic trope, but it wasn't on purpose. I did think that I liked both boys and girls. And it wasn't until high school in sophomore year that a good friend of mine, like I kept being like, oh yeah, I'm bi, whatever. And then uh, my friend was like, you're not bi, you're a lesbian. And I was like, you're right. And so it kind of all like just clicked once again, where I was like, actually, I was just like, I haven't liked a boy and since ever since I realized I like girls. And then it kind of all made sense that I actually never really liked boys. I just was going along with what everyone else was doing, and just like literally, just like trying to pick some boy that was like attractive to be like, oh, I have a crush, but like it never really was actually a thing. So so yeah, that was like my I guess my self-discovery and coming out journey. In terms of like, not to bring down the vibe, but obviously gotta be real, and these things always aren't wonderful. I did not have a good coming out experience with my like parental and family unit other than my uncle. My mom actually found out when I was a freshman, I think, in high school. Because I was a sophomore because I had a girlfriend in sophomore year, and she found a note by going through my things in my bathroom. And unfortunately, it was a scenario where I didn't tell her. Then she found out, and then it was like one of those, you know, the devil's trying to get you on his side type of conversations. One of those like religious, homophobic conversations, unfortunately. And yeah, so I guess just to be real, I do need to address that part because that happens to a lot of people. And unfortunately, like my parents or family didn't really ever come around. I think now it's finally to the point where uh how do I describe it? Like it's finally after all these years, like I'm 33 now. So it's been literally like half my life at this point. Finally to a point where we can kind of where I don't feel like I have to hide that, like if I have a partner, and it's not going to be like I'm not going to be setting myself up for another like religious talk about how it's wrong. So we finally got there. It's not like a super comfortable topic yet, but it's better than it's ever been. So at least there's that. Um, definitely was a challenge. Like lots of therapy, what was involved for me, stuff like that. But I live in Portland now, and I've never felt more accepted. So at least it's been a journey, and I definitely am like honestly grateful for everything that's happened because I think uh, just in terms of self growth and self understanding, um, and evolution as a person, I'm glad for everything. Like honestly, so but yeah,
Yeah.
and I have
Yeah.
faith of it continuing to get better, and for myself and for my relationship with my family too. So yeah.
I hope it continues to get better. And I'm glad you had your Uncle Joey.
Me
Very
too. Oh my God. I have him to thank for that initial discovery. That's for sure.
Has it been, I know I didn't pop in this question, has it been a journey for him also through this? And have you stayed close throughout this?
It was really hard for him. I think he was even more so he was like, I feel like even though we both had difficult upbringings with religious families, I think he was a little bit more in it. So he definitely had a harder time than I did even. And yeah, we definitely, once again, not to bring the vibe down, but we kind of definitely took different paths, and he kind of did take a harder path than I did. But we still are in contact, and yeah, he's still a very important person in my life. Yeah.
Well, I think it's important to share these stories and why we need Pride so much.
Yeah.
And need these safe spaces too.
Mm-hmm.
Most definitely. Well, check out www.portlandpridepages.com for an LGBTQ directory of safe spaces, also available in Seattle, Boise, and Palm Springs. And like and subscribe to this podcast. So how did you come to Portland? You had mentioned, so it sounds like you weren't originally here.
No, I've been here for about 2 years now. I'm originally from Southern California, like many people who I encounter here. And so the story behind that is I was living in Southern California. I was actually married. And then I have a digital business, so I can really be living anywhere. And I actually got a divorce a couple of years ago. Well, I guess like 3 years ago at this point. And so then I didn't really have any ties to the area that I was living in other than like that relationship. So I was like, well, I can literally move anywhere, just because I work from my laptop. So that's really a great thing. And then pretty much I was just like, well, where do I want to live? I want to live in a place with like-minded people. So I definitely wanted to pick like kind of more. I'm from a small town called Ventura. It's kind of like a small beach town. And I wanted a little bit more of a city vibe. And I know Portland's like considered a medium-sized city, but for me, compared to my little town, it feels like a pretty city vibes. But anyways, so I made a pros and cons list. It was between LA just because it was close, or Houston or Austin, and that's because of business taxes, or Portland because my best friend lives in Eugene. So I was like, well, at least I'll know one person, kind of like 2 hours away. So it was actually a tie between Houston and Portland when I made the pros and cons list. But I chose Portland because my friend was here. So yeah, and somehow we actually, side note, we're actually childhood best friends. I've known her since kindergarten, and we somehow both ended up in the PNW. So I'm pretty happy about that. Yeah.
Nice. Very cool. Do you get to visit with her a lot?
Yeah. She actually just moved up to Tacoma, so slightly farther away, but it's definitely drivable still. Like it's worth the drive.
Same. I mean,
I think it's like
2 hours to Eugene. Isn't it about 2 hours to Tacoma?
It's closer to 3 hours to Tacoma. Okay. But not too bad. Not too bad. I mean, for a best friendship.
Oh yeah, of course. Of course. So do you work with people everywhere or just locally? You mentioned working from your laptop, so it sounds like
Yeah, I work with everyone everywhere. Well, not everyone. I can work with people from anywhere, all over the world. It's actually pretty rare that I work with people locally, to be honest. Like, I think I've only ever worked with one person in Oregon so far. So yeah, it's like literally anywhere. I specifically work with professional coaches, consultants, and B2B service businesses. And so for me, as long as they're somewhere in that realm and I can find, I work specifically on LinkedIn. I haven't really said that yet. I do lead generation on LinkedIn. And so if I can find their audience on LinkedIn and they're a coach, consultant, or B2B service business, then I can help them. So it doesn't matter where they're located. Yeah.
Okay, very cool. How did you become the founder of Rush Digital Marketing, now Rush Acquisitions?
Yes, rebranding. Yeah, so now it's a Rush Acquisition. And so basically, it's kind of quite a story actually. But so I was actually in junior college for like 7 years because I couldn't make up my mind. on what I wanted to do. So I pretty much majored in like everything and took like all the classes. Like I was even doing summer school. Like I took like everything at that freaking college. And finally, I actually hit a rough spot in my life. Like this was like mid-20s, like early to mid-20s. And I consider it to be like one of my like most rock bottom kind of, times in my life. And it definitely made me like reevaluate everything, where I was like, I ended up dropping out for the first time of my classes and was just like I don't have anything. But then then it was very like okay, well, now what do I do? And or like what do I want? Like once you don't have all of those like projected things, it's like you really can evaluate from scratch. And so I stumbled upon this program. It was called the 67 Steps program, and it's about how to find or achieve or get health, wealth, love, and happiness. And so I started that program. It's 67 days, and throughout that, I learned what an entrepreneur was, and like that was even an option. And that's when I started like reading all of these books that this person who created the program like recommended. And I was like, okay, like this, kind of like started broadening the horizons for me. And then it came down to like, okay, well, what do I want to do? And what can I start? Like, how can I start making money with nothing but like knowledge and a laptop? And then so of course, marketing made a lot of sense, especially because I really do enjoy, well, I do have an associate's degree in psychology, and that's a lot of marketing. And I also studied art and creative stuff, which is also marketing. And also I majored in math/physics/engineering. So, marketing. So it all kind of like came together, with numbers. So it all, and I mean, I didn't think about those things at the time, but looking back, I'm like, okay, it all makes sense now. But chose marketing. I was like, well, what do I want to market? And I actually chose I wanted to do Facebook ads for personal trainers and nutrition coaches, because I was like one of those people that gets into fitness and then you're like all like excited about it and want to like change the world kind of thing. And it didn't actually work out. I tried for like a long time to make it work, but I struggled to get clients. And then when I did get the few clients that I got, I struggled to get them results. So I just kept trying for like years. Like there was like a stretch of 1 year where I actually didn't have a job, and I literally worked on this like 24/7 for like an entire year with no income before it actually took off. And that year span was when like kind of that I think I needed to like make it happen, because like I had no business experience. I'd never studied business in school or anything like that. So it was literally just like a year of like grinding it out and like figuring it out before it actually took off. And so what happened was I kind of like niche hopped. Like I was like, well, maybe I can do like the solar industry and help them get clients, or maybe like HVAC, because I knew that like, any sale for them would be a good sale. So anyways, just like trying all this stuff. And I finally realized that I was getting a bunch of like leads and sales calls for myself through LinkedIn, not through Facebook ads. Like I actually didn't even run those for myself. So, and I was like, wait, I'm getting all of this like traction and like sales calls from LinkedIn. Like, why don't I just offer LinkedIn like lead generation? And like that's
different.
Yeah, it was like totally different. And I was like, okay, well, let me go back to the fitness people, because that's what I like anyways. So I started with that. I started helping personal trainers and nutrition coaches get leads through LinkedIn, organic outreach. And then I had this one random client that was like, well, I don't have a fitness coaching business, but I have a business coaching business. Can you still help me get leads? And then I was like, actually, I think I can. And that honestly like changed everything. Like that's really when that's not when it officially kicked off. It officially kicked off with the personal trainers, but that's when it really took off, because I was like, okay, like these are coaches who I can find their audience like really well on LinkedIn, and they have a very high ticket offer, so that I can charge, what makes sense for me. And then so I'm getting good results for myself. I'm getting even better results for them. And that first business coach client stayed with me for like 3 to 4 years. So it definitely worked really well. And yeah, ever since then I rebranded from just Amanda Rush to Rush Digital Marketing, now changing again to Rush Acquisition. But yeah, that's how that all happened. Yeah.
Nice. So it just happened naturally and organically. That's cool.
Yeah, just literally trial and error. And it's been 5 years since it kicked off. So yeah.
So what is Nexus?
Sure. So Nexus is basically my proprietary system that I use to basically take a client or one of my clients and get them leads, essentially. And I just named it that because I wanted something that sounded interesting, so people would be like, well, what is that? But it's literally like the definition of Nexus is just like a link between two things or a connection between things, and specifically a central, like the central link or connection. So it just made a lot of sense because the type of lead generation that I do is literally just about making connections. So it's like it's basically kind of like online networking, where it's like you're the central point, and you get all these connections through LinkedIn or email, and you can also do this through like Instagram, Facebook, etc. I don't specialize in that, but I have done it before. So it's really just about kind of like being the central link, and then you have like all these people that you can market to and connect with. So yeah.
Nice, very cool. What steps do you take to bring your clients leads? It sounds like Nexus is a little bit about that.
Yes, exactly. So as I touched upon, my specialty is really helping professional coaches, consultants, B2B service businesses through LinkedIn organic. And once again, that just means I don't use paid ads. It's all through making the right connections and starting conversations in the right way. And really what I focus on first, like what's really the most important is like, we want to really understand like their ideal client, or like perfect buyer is what I like to call them, because we want to like we need to be able to not only find them, but like understand them to the degree that we can actually create message copy that really resonates with those people, and initiates a positive response from them. So so basically we start off by like finding out kind of the deep stuff, like what are their fears, what are their challenges, what are their pain points, the people that decide to pay to work with my clients, like what are they saying that they want, why do they want those things in the first place. So basically it's like a lot of foundational work is that's the first step. From there, we actually optimize their LinkedIn profile. And the whole goal for this part is not only just to make it look nice, but really to place them as the bridge to get their clients or their prospects from like their current painful state to that whatever the desired awesome amazing outcome that they want. And this of course does generate leads, because your profile is literally kind of like a landing page at that point. So then when the right people see it, they're like, oh, I want that, I want to talk to this person. So that's the first step. Then from there, we use LinkedIn like tools to find and filter the right people. And then we essentially just what's the word? Like, it's kind of like new age cold calling in a way, where we kind of do a very high volume outreach process. So it's kind of like an email campaign where we'll send like a message drip sequence to people on their behalf. So we do a fully done for you service. And then yeah, so I'm trying to think of how to explain this. Yeah, because we have like a few different like competitive ways that we use to get a high volume, which I guess I won't go into details, but anyways, that's the process. And from there, people then just respond. So obviously people say no, but then we get all the people that are a good fit, and they're like, hey, I'm interested. And then from there, my team actually books sales calls for our clients as well. So it's like full done for you. And my clients end up with booked sales calls in their calendars. And I do have a course version as well. So I will mention that. So I do, a lot of my clients are, done for you clients, but if for whatever reason that's not a good fit, I do have a course. So it actually shows you how to do this entire thing from beginning to end.
That's cool.
So, yeah.
When's the course coming up?
Oh, it's already up.
Really? Awesome. Okay. After the podcast, I'll have to have you give me the link so I can put everything below so everybody can find it. That's awesome.
That'd be perfect.
Yeah, I love that. So how do you help people with their next steps?
Sure. What do you mean by next steps?
Like, I was reading through things on your website, and I saw that you help people like how do they take their next steps after they get the lead? Like, somebody reaches out, they're not a buyer now, but they're interested. So how do you help people through that next step? Sure.
So that of course depends on if we're doing it for you, or whether you're taking my course. However, I suppose in both scenarios, I do offer sales training. So even if if someone were to like have me do all of the marketing for them, I actually give them a complimentary sales training as well. So they kind of get like a mini course. And that goes over I actually start off with the mindset part. So you might have seen on the website where it's like, how do you deal with like self-sabotaging patterns and stuff like that? That's actually because I do talk about mindset and have like an entire like little training on that first, because that's really probably like, in my opinion, like 80% of the battle. So all of that, and then a sales training as well. So like my actual entire process for taking a LinkedIn stranger and then moving them to a client is all covered in there.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
Okay.
in terms of where to go next, yeah, I do. I want to make sure that all of my clients have some sort of way to deal with the leads. So that's why I provide that.
I love that. I love that. What is it like living in Portland as LGBTQ, and what does it mean to you to be a part of the community and to showcase pride?
Sure. So, as I mentioned earlier, I've been here for 2 years, so I'm still relatively new, and I've actually kind of barely begun to integrate myself into the queer community here. But what I have noticed in terms of like what it means to me is, well, first of all, I will say that I've never felt more comfortable. I'm from like Southern California, but this town at least is the most liberal place that I've lived, and like probably the first, well, I don't know, you just feel comfortable like walking around. Like like it sounds so simple and like duh, but like it just, having lived in more conservative towns where it just like actually you don't realize how uncomfortable you feel until you're out of it. So that's
Yeah.
that's a big thing there for sure. And then but yeah, just kind of I have started to get more involved in terms of like networking, I suppose, with the LGBT business community. So that's been really cool.
Oh,
And so it definitely does mean a lot to me. I haven't quite done anything massive or really interesting yet, other than like starting to network and to see what others are up to, and trying to support each other. But yeah, it's awesome. I like it.
that's cool. That's very cool. Is there anything you would like to say to your audience before we sign off?
Mm, I don't think so. Well, other than check out my website,
I
uh,
love
rushacquisition.com. And since everything that I do is on LinkedIn, if you're interested in that type of marketing or anything like that, definitely check out my LinkedIn. It's linked on my website as well. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
I love that. Awesome. Cool. And I'll also put everything below so you guys can all click on the link. And thank you for tuning into Pride Pages podcast. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow.